5, 4, 3, 2. This is Cultivated Live. I am here with Mack from Ayrloom, everybody's favorite New York operator. Mack, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Jay. Appreciate having me on.
I have a throwback. It's not,
Sure.
it is Thursday. I have a throwback to last year around this time. You want to see it?
Not really, but let's look at it.
Okay.
Beak Skiff, our heart, we're a 1,000-acre apple orchard, but we also have a lot of beverage manufacturing facilities on site here. We have one that specializes in fresh cider.
All right, that's enough. That's enough. That was last year around this time. I stopped by. I learned a lot about Ayrloom, learned a lot about the orchard, learned a lot about the history of the company, and it rained, a tremendous rainstorm. There was a tornado nearby. All of our families were calling us worried. It's good to see you again in better weather, I guess.
Yeah, if you came back today, it's beautiful. Sun is shining, blue sky, no rain. So yeah, you were a trooper that day. Thank you.
I'm only coming when the weather is treacherous. How's that? That's my
Perfect.
That's my promise to you. And I also learned something else that day, and then we'll get to it. The name of the lake and the town is Skinny Atlas.
Yes.
Right? That's not where you are, but it's down the street. And
it is down the street. And that's one of my favorite things when people try to say, like, how do you show or tell people you're from New York without saying you're from New York? Well, yeah. I know how to say and pronounce or spell Skinny Atlas.
Well, I don't know how to spell it. I know how to say it. I don't know how to spell it. But it is down the road. And so when we go by, I do think of you and the good folks at Ayrloom. And what struck me when I visited last year and met you and toured the facility and heard the history of the company, it's not one of sitting still and doing nothing, but thinking about where the market and lots of different markets are, how to address them with what products that customers love using your expertise. Was that a good takeaway from the visit?
Yeah, you kind of hit the nail on the head. I mean, we are a 115-year-old family-run company here, but status quo is everything we are not. I mean, we are all about innovation, pushing the limits, trying new things. It's exhausting, but it's a lot of fun and can be very rewarding.
Yeah, and it serves the cannabis industry in New York particularly well. Like, we look at all the data coming out. I mean, Ayrloom products are doing amazing. And I think it's based on you guys being a longtime operator, but also understanding how markets start, grow, scale, what retailers are looking for in terms of partnerships, what customers are looking for in terms of products. And certainly everybody has misses, but thinking about how the market has evolved, like, could you have crystal balled where you are now versus where you were before or when the market opened? Like, have the things been exactly as you planned, and what has not been as exactly as you planned?
No, definitely not as I planned. And even that video you showed from a year ago, I feel like that was me being naive, thinking we could, the thought of being where we are today, knowing that a year ago, it never would have came to the top of my mind. I think really the success is really driven by the team that we have here. I would say we have one of the best teams, not only in New York, but in the whole cannabis market. Really, the success is being driven by the execution of the team, whether it's R&D, product manufacturing, distribution, sales, accounting, you name it. We just really have taken all the learnings and lessons from our Beak Skiff and 1911 businesses and brought those over to cannabis. So that's helped us tremendously, but new store that opens just keeps stretching us further and further. So, we try to always stay ahead of it, be proactive, adapt before we break. So far, it's been working.
Yeah, and one of the things that I took away from our conversation last year, but certainly has evolved a lot over the past year, is thinking about New York as, yes, it's one big market, but there is New York City and I would say the close and surrounding area. And then there is the rest of New York, which is just massive. And there's both a lot of people, but a lot of geography as well. And thinking about the other businesses that was at 1911 and Beak Skiff, like thinking about those businesses that operate throughout that too, like the logistics, the supply chain. Like, I think that is more complicated than people realize when they enter the market, but something you've known for 115 years.
Yeah, and also, Ayrloom we are also a beverage brand, right? In addition to vapes and gummies and pre-rolls. But knowing the challenges with beverages, both from production and distribution, we knew that we needed to find a good partner to help us tackle the whole state. So that's why, shout out to the Navis team who helps us with all of our distribution downstate. We coming from alcohol are used to working in like that 3-tier model, right? Producer, distributor, retailer. So we were very familiar with that model and knew that would help us grow and scale. But yeah, like you said, New York is very different. Metro New York, driving 2 hours, you might even get just 20 miles. Obviously, in Syracuse, upstate where we are, 2 hours, you're in Buffalo or in Albany. So very different.
Yeah, without weather, that's how long it takes to get to those places. But that's another thing, right? Like, distribution through Buffalo, through the New York State Thruway from Syracuse to Buffalo is not for the faint of heart, right? It's a real challenge, and it's if you are new to the market or new to these places. Someone told me they were flying into Buffalo. It was February. I was like, I'm not sure you are. like no,
Yep.
we're gonna go meet retailers in Buffalo. It's like, okay, have fun with that, right?
Yep.
It's a unique and challenging place to operate in, and you guys have been there for a long time. Thinking about where the market is today versus a year ago versus a year before that, like there's been, while it does grow slowly, when you look at the sales data, it has grown a tremendous amount, well over $1 billion now, well on its way to a lot more. Like, how do you think about that scale from your perspective, whether it's beverages or other products that you're producing, like thinking about how you ramp up to address that, like wanting to right size your facilities and your production and sort of your market share without overextending, without understanding, sort of hitting the right place. Like, how do you do that? And is it is it an art and a science, I guess is the question.
Yes, definitely both. And it's probably something I spend the most amount of time on is building models based on different market scenarios, and then testing those, right? From either supply chain, right? Making sure we have enough raw materials coming in, whether that's biomass, smokable, distillate, right? Making sure we have enough warehouse spacing, right? I think beverages take up a ton of space. Jay, you saw that, right? Where we're now having to build out a whole new warehouse to hopefully give us the room to grow and store product for the next 5 years. In alcohol, I can just use a third-party warehouse.
Right.
So, building out sales team, production teams, just to make sure we can keep up with the pace, try to stay a little bit ahead of it, not behind. But at the same time, we know, New York is not immune to lawsuits and injunctions.
Right.
So, yeah, that's always the thing kind of keeping me up is making sure we're staying ahead, but we're not, getting too far out in front of our skis.
Yeah. And think about staying ahead because the market and the customers and retailers, let's say, many of them have been around for now the entirety of the market, and consumers, I'll say thirsty, but consumers are interested in what is next. And how do you think about that from your perspective? What is next, either on the beverage side or other sides of the industry where you're going to be developing products? Like what goes into the ideas of what you put into the market in terms of new products? I know you have new flavors and products coming out all the time. You're going to tell me, well, I know one is root beer, which I'm quite keen on, but talk about sort of how you think about that and how it comes to market.
Yeah, really, I think we're we're coming into this market very humble. Like we are not legacy cannabis operators coming in with the best strains, right? We're basically taking a playbook out of our alcohol brand, 1911, which really leaned into the fun, full flavor hard cider and kind of bringing that same mindset to cannabis. Like everything we do, we're trying to have fun with and just offering something that's unique and differentiated from not only what's in New York, but even across the US and all the legal markets. So the big thing also is we just want to keep innovating. I think that keeps our team, on their toes, keeping us aware of what's happening, again, not in just our market, but throughout the country, and just finding those gaps of what's on retail shelves right now that we could then find a home for something. You kind of alluded to it, like the beverage innovation is always going to be a top of mind for me. One thing we've been doing this spring, haven't made much news about it, but we're reformulating a lot of our full flavor beverages. We came out originally with 3 seltzers, which are kind of low-hanging fruit in the beverage production world. Then we really graduated to more full flavor, our lemonade, our half and half. We have some sodas, but a lot of those, some of the complaints or concerns we get is they're high in sugar, right? The reality is people still want sweet drinks. That's why Coke and Pepsi still sell.
Yeah.
But we want to be able to offer that same full flavor without that guilt. So really, we just looked at some of the best beverages out there, which is like Poppy and Olipop, right? And so they really target that 30 to 40 calories, the 6 to 8 grams of sugar that allows the consumer to get that still amazing taste, but not having all that guilt about the high sugar or high calories. So right now in the market, we have our low-cal lemonade, so our new flavor lemonade. We just launched a root beer, which I'm a huge fan of. Barks root beer is what I kind of grew up on. And that's what I'm really proud. Ours tastes just like that. And now we're about to reintroduce some other of our full flavors into the low-cal formulation.
That's not nothing. One of those things would be a big lift for many companies, especially in the cannabis space. But for you, it seems like it's a Tuesday or Wednesday. But like that is not easy to do. You're relying on 100+ years of history and knowledge and facility and know-how to do that. And like, what kind of leg up does that give you? Like, is that it's just innate in what you're doing, but like not everybody can just call upon those people, those facilities, that expertise. Like that seems like it's in the DNA of what you're doing.
Yeah, I think it's also a blessing and a curse. Like this I wish this could have been 6 months ago or earlier, but we have a really experienced team that wants to make sure everything is perfect before we go to the market with something. I think also just being in the market already with these flavors in a different format or formula, trying to reintroduce them and making sure those end consumers don't send hate emails or DMs on social media saying, "What'd you guys do to the lemonade here?"
Right.
But yeah, it's a blessing and a curse. But again, I think we're always looking for challenges like this to kind of keep pushing us.
Yeah. I just want to ask you sort of one more question, because the market is growing. There's way more products on the shelves. There's way more retailers, more consumers, all of that. Like when you reintroduce or introduce new products, like how do you make that connection to retailers? Say, hey, we have this relationship. You've been selling our products. It's been very good. Consumers like it. And we're adding this and this and this. Is that conversation, are they asking for it? Are you bringing it to them? Like, what is that conversation like? Because I feel like it's, this is how an industry evolves, sort of those conversations. And
yeah,
I'd rather be in your shoes than a net new brand coming in. But like, talk a little bit about sort of that relationship and the relationship your team has with retailers across the state.
Yeah, I think our sales team does an amazing job of always staying in front of this and communicating to retailers that, innovation is something that we're always going to be focusing on. So it's not introducing a portfolio of products when a store opens saying, this is what you have for 2 years.
Right.
Like it's more making sure they're aware, like, hey, every 3 to 4 months, there's going to be some new products coming. And not just new products, we're probably going to be removing some of the lowest selling products. So you guys always have the best products on your shelf. So we just try to put that in their mindset. I'm sure not every retailer loves having to upload new images and new products constantly, but I think it continues to bring the hype around a brand, right? Retailers want that new, exciting product. So hopefully they do see the benefit of that. I mean, we see it as a brand. It just keeps the brand awareness up. And again, I just like seeing new things out there, seeing what works, what doesn't.
I think so too. I think consumers in New York are hungry for it, and certainly retailers are too, which is why I think you guys crush it, but also you're good people to learn from and sort of follow what's happening, because as you grow and scale and innovate, I think it's instructive to where the industry is at any one moment in New York, because you guys are leading the way. Mack, I appreciate it. I'm going to stop by hopefully sometime this summer, maybe during sort of apple harvest season, maybe as well. That also sounds fun, but I appreciate the time, appreciate the expertise, and keep up the good work.
Thank you so much, Jay. You're always welcome here.
Oh, well, don't say that. I'll show up all the time. All right. Thanks, Mack.
Have a good one. Thank you.